one of the things that we say a lot on this show, or one of the things that I've said before, is that Bernie's the punk, not Beto. I've said that many times. I still say that because it's true. Here's some more evidence supporting that. Boom! That time Bernie Sanders interviewed some punk rock kids in a mall. You guys have probably seen this video already, but back in the 80s, Bernie Sanders had a public access TV show, which is hilarious. Bernie Sanders had his own TV program from 1986 to 1988. This is from the article from Reason.com. Back when the socialist senator was mayor of Burlington, Vermont, the show was called Bernie Speaks. It aired on public access TV, and Politico just had the full run digitized. So, this was back in the pre-internet days. Bernie was mayor, and he decided, I need to reach the people. I got to do a public access show. And what he would do was he would go around to different places and kind of do man-on-the-street type segments. This particular segment that's getting a lot of coverage and people are talking about music blogs and so forth is when he was walking around the Burlington Mall and he interviewed these high school punk rockers. And he talked to them about why they felt the way they did, why they were dressed the way they did, what statement they were making. And it was a fun interview to watch. So let's go back to the way the article talks about it. So this person in Politico watched them all. The production values, this person from Politico, Holly Oderbine, here's what she says about it. The production values are so low that they're sometimes hard to hear and see, which makes them feel more valuable, like an archive of lost secrets. So the show's topics, she reports, include Plato, Ronald Reagan, Jesse Jackson's 1988 presidential campaign, the immorality of the war in Nicaragua, the stupid property tax, the effects of the looming nuclear apocalypse on children, Burlington's waterfront, Burlington's trash dump, Burlington's snowplow operation, the incredible increase in crime, the close-fisted state legislator, the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer, and the reasons that punk rockers wear black. So this particular thing was Bernie was going around Burlington Square Mall interviewing people, and he was asking them their thoughts on stuff. He was just kind of asking them. I watched the video. He was asking, hey, what's your thought on what's going on in the world? What are your thoughts on what we need to do as a society? How are you feeling about the way Burlington's going? And some people praised him. They were like, hey, you're doing great. You're a wonderful leader. And he was kind of funny and humble about it. He was like, all right, just so you know, these are not paid placements. None of these people are being paid to say this. These are just people on the street. And he interviewed these two. Here, let's see the picture. These two. There you go. So we're not going to play the video because of copyright issues. But here's the two punk rockers. They're in high school. And here's the way they sum it up. So they reply, he asks them what they don't like about society. These are the punk rock kids. This is according to the article. They reply with a collection of complaints, some vague and some highly specific. Speaking as someone who in March of 1988 was 17 and listening to punk rock and sometimes hanging out at malls, this is as good as a condensation as you're likely to find. This is according to the article. So one of the punk rockers said, people are not open-minded enough. They think that in order to be stable in society, you have to have money, you have to live in a suburb, you have to do the set things such as have many people over for dinner. Okay. They both identified as anarchist, as 1980s mall punks were prone to do, says the article. But most people's politics are a mishmash, and that's true here. One of them said he'd be happy in a communist society with no freedom of enterprise as long as there's freedom of speech. The other says she's kind of an anarchist too, but doesn't believe in total anarchy because then we're just gonna kill ourselves, she said. So, yeah, it was pretty fun. And look, I also hung out in malls when I was in high school, and I listened to a bunch of punk rock. And if somebody would have asked me these questions, I would have been like, Tipper Gore's trying to censor us, man. That's fascist. I would have said something just not very deep. I mean, I watched the video, and I hope you watched the video too. These 1980s punk rock mall kids were more insightful than I would have been at that age. But, they just kind of said their take on the world, that it's closed-minded, that they wear black because they're frustrated with society and it doesn't matter, and they're not encouraged to think outside of the box or for themselves. Yeah, and they talk about how, they're fascinated by anarchy, and Bernie heard them out. And he listened to them, and he said, hey, thank you for your thoughts. He's like, what can we do to better society? And they kind of gave their thoughts on it all. And it was just sort of we're focused on capital. But Bernie heard them out. He also recognized the fact that they were calling for anarchy to the mayor. He pointed that out. And I feel like that's a pretty cool mayor. I can't imagine my mayor doing anything like that. Of course, times have changed. If a mayor wanted to do that today, they could just walk around with their smartphone. They don't need to have... I mean, this was in the days of public access television, where you had to get a slot on public access TV, which I'm sure for the mayor that wasn't hard to do. I'm sure the mayor had you probably just went down to the office in the city hall building and just go, hey, I need a time slot. What can you do for me? And the person was like, Bernie, we got like 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. Is that cool? He's like, I'm the mayor. That's really, you can't give me drive time on a Friday afternoon. They're like, Bernie, I don't know. Like, that's the only thing that's available. Right now, drive time on a Friday afternoon. We have this dude named Wayne who does this show with this other guy, Garth. And it's picking up some steam. It's kind of popular. That's a Wayne's World reference that I'm sure most, if not all of you caught. But you're probably thinking, Ron, Wayne's World did not take place in Burlington, Vermont. They were supposed to be in Chicago. I know. These aren't perfect. What are you going to do? But, yeah, good for Bernie. I think that's pretty cool. You can watch all of his public access shows online. It's a pretty cool thing of the mayor to do. My mayor, where I live in Pasadena, California, has a grimace on his face whenever he has to sit in a local town hall meeting. So, I mean, maybe he's having a good time and he just kind of has kind of a natural, kind of frown. Some people have that, you just sort of have a natural frown. Whenever I'm looking intently, some people say I look sad. I'm not. I'm just, pondering or thinking or whatever. So, won't read too much into that. But I can't imagine a lot of mayors doing that. It's pretty cool that Bernie did. It'd be neat if mayors did that today. They just went around with their smartphones and asked people, hey, what's up? What should we be doing differently? I'm here. I'm doing a little vlog thing. This is going to go on my YouTube channel later. And it's called, Thoughts from the City. What do you guys need? What should we do? And just catalog all the answers you could get. These days, you'll get a lot of interesting answers. Although, I don't know, where would you go? Would you go to a shopping mall? Not many people go to shopping malls as much anymore. The kind of shopping mall culture is not quite what it used to be. I feel like your best scenario would be you should just go to the heart of your city. Go to the main drag and just talk to the people who are out and about enjoying their day. Be like, hey, I'm the mayor. What should we do here? And see what they say. They might see how often you get recognized. How often do you think people would recognize their mayor in a given city? Do you think they'd recognize the mayor a lot? Do you think they'd recognize the mayor a little bit? I think in my city in Pasadena, I would imagine, if I had to take a guess, I bet 1 in 5 people would recognize the mayor. Because, a lot of people don't really follow local politics. That's just the reality of it. It should be the other way around. People follow presidential elections all the time. People follow midterms some, and people follow local politics almost not at all. Generally, it should be the other way around. You should follow local politics very intensely. You should be paying attention there. You should be voting there. You should be doing everything. Midterms, presidential, if you don't want to pay, I say pay attention to all of it, but if you're going to prioritize, the priority should be local, midterm, presidential, not presidential, midterm, local. We do it completely backwards. That's why I always say, I'm like, look, I'm 100% for voting. I just think we prioritize it backwards, and that helps discourage a lot of people. I think that if we most highly prioritize voting locally, that more people would be less discouraged. I do believe that. Also, if we had, honest and fair elections, that would probably help too. but you know what I mean. So there you go. That's circulating. Fun Music Monday story. Bernie was talking to the punk rockers back in the 80s. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go go through it together and make it our own. Get your